Hello and welcome to What's the Big Deal About Greenville. In today's episode, I sit down with Kristin Hanson. Kristin is the owner of Birdhouse Interior Designs. She talks about what she finds interesting about design, her process. It was an awesome conversation, and I hope you enjoy it.
Thank you for having me.
Yeah. So tell me your story. How did you end up in interior design? Like, what's the journey there?
Well, I grew up in a pretty creative family. My dad was a builder my whole life, really, my whole young life. And then at a certain age, I think I was about maybe, 13, when I actually decorated my own bedroom. And and it looked pretty good.
Yeah.
I can remember it to this day, and it looked really pretty good. And then, but I, forgot about that. In my 20s, I just tried every career. I went to school a few times, and then...
What'd you get your degree in?
I actually didn't get a degree. I started in human services. Well, I did that later in my 20s and loved it. I went for a little bit, did really well, and then I ended up actually heading into a program called YWAM, Youth with a Mission, and I came back from that, and I actually started my business. But the journey of actually getting to that point is trying different things. And then I remember my dad, me searching, and my dad asking, well, what do you like to do? And I remember saying things like, well, I like making a home beautiful, and all these things, because I really, wanted to be a mother and a wife, but I loved making a home beautiful. And I think that's when it started to click, like, oh, I actually could have a career in this. And it was something that was it ended up happening so naturally. I was in my late 20s, and I actually started helping my parents decorate model homes for my dad's company. And then I don't remember if this was before or after that, but I worked for a renovation company, and I picked hard surfaces, flooring and countertop and paint colors. And it was so natural to me. But again, I grew up around a construction family. Right. And my mom actually is an artist as well. So I definitely have it in my blood at some extent. And it was as easy as I did some really basic first steps. I actually had a client before I started my business. So I was like, oh my goodness, I need to get my act together.
there's nothing like trial by fire.
Oh yeah. I was like, oh, I don't even have a company name yet.
Oh wow.
So people ask me, oh, how'd you do it? How'd you start your company? And I'm like, I came up with a name with a friend. He helped me. He is a graphic designer. Came up with a name, got a business card, got a website. It was very practical. Yeah. And so I had to have all that to look legit for my first, I didn't really have the client yet, but I had a meeting. Yeah. Oh, I see. Yeah, so you had a lead. I had a lead. So I went prepared. I had a website, business card. I mean, he didn't know that I just came up with it.
Yeah, that's fine.
And so my first client was a corporation. So it was a commercial client. And I actually decorated his foyer area and his office as well. And I did everything from the ground up, like the flooring, but also the furniture, paint, colors, everything.
What was the hardest part of that project?
Working with a guy. So guys are actually my hardest clients.
Really? Why is that?
It's because this is what I found. I know it's a stereotype, but they are very particular, but they don't know what they want.
Interesting. So what do? You just present them? How about this?
Yes. Yeah. So I'll typically present 3 things. So say it's flooring.
Right.
I'll show them 3 different types of flooring that I think that they would like. And they'll just say, no, I don't like any of those. And I'll be like, okay, can you tell me what you like? And they're like, I don't know. So I would just try again.
Whoa.
And I had no direction. But I will say, once they saw what they liked, they knew it. They were like, that's what I like. But they couldn't get me on the pathway of it, of what to look for.
Do you think guys, I know there's a stereotype that girls like to decorate and, all that kind of stuff. I think guys love to decorate.
They do, but they don't know what they want.
I think there's a stigma. I think they don't want to be seen as I'm the decorator guy. I think that's a real thing.
Yeah.
I find it interesting. Before I got into real estate, I was, I taught history. I was watching a documentary there. They were talking about George Washington. George Washington loved to decorate Mount Vernon.
Oh,
and Jefferson was the same way too. He if you ever go to Monticello, they're constantly changing it and buying different things, and it was considered being a Renaissance man was knowing how to decorate. So that's really strange to me that these guys don't have.
But they had great taste once I could narrow it down. I look back at I haven't had that many, usually there's a female involved, but I have had some where there hasn't been. But those are some amazing projects, as far as how they turned out.
Mm-hmm.
So they are great at it, because I help them get to the end goal, but at the end of the day, my clients are the ones that pick what they're getting.
Mm-hmm.
I just present them really good options and then they pick from that.
Okay. So describe for me your process. So client calls you. Do you ask for pictures right off the bat, or okay, give me examples of what you would like and then build off of that? Or
well, so I have had my business it'll be 6 years in March, and thank you. I feel like I have learned how to read minds in a way. Okay. I can read a person pretty quickly, and the best way is to go to their home.
Mm-hmm.
So when they call me, the first thing I do is set up an appointment with them.
Okay.
Can we meet at your house? Because that's often, or their office, or, but it's easier with a house usually because that's more personal.
Right.
They have their things. But often people are hiring me because they don't want the same thing that they have. But I still can get to know someone pretty quickly. Tell me about yourself. What kind of design, what do you like? Do you like traditional? Do you like modern? And just letting them talk to me, and I can narrow it down pretty quickly, what they like or what they want. And usually people do hire me because they want something different, but you don't want to push them too far out of their comfort zone either. So you just give them different, but not too different, or they'll hate you.
Oh, right. They'll be like, they don't know what I want.
Yeah.
Right. Okay. So where do you, if someone gave you a blank canvas, where do you find your inspiration? What do you like working with?
Well, my favorite thing to do is remodels.
Okay.
Remodels. So I love that process of seeing something completely transformed. Mm-hmm. And I definitely see that in clients' homes, even if it's not a remodel, in a small form. But my inspiration, wow, that's it changes all the time.
Yeah.
People, probably think I watch HGTV and all that, but I actually don't, because first of all, on my off time, if I watch HGTV, it makes me feel like I'm working. My mind's just going. I'm like, I could do this in this part. And I really don't want to steal other people's ideas.
Yeah.
I want it to be for my clients. And of course I keep up with the trends and the colors and all of that, of course. But I think my inspiration comes from my clients because they're so unique. And people are like, what's your style? People ask me that often.
Yeah.
And I tell them I have my own personal style, but with clients, I can't do my style. Mm-hmm. I have to do theirs. And so it makes my job really fun because each client is so unique. And the things they might have this really cool cabinet that I get to incorporate in. Mm-hmm. Or this paint color they just love. So my inspiration honestly comes from my clients and something they have, something they love.
Yeah. So how would somebody, I guess what I'm trying to ask is do you like modern style? Do you like Scandinavian style? Is there I know you just said, well, I don't, I don't really have a style, but is there anyone that you like in particular to work with?
someone I look up to
Yeah.
as far as a designer.
Yeah.
I like M. Henderson. I don't know if you've heard of her. She's pretty well known. I like her style, I would say, the most. People listening can look her up. She's awesome.
Yeah.
She definitely is, like, I would say, eclectic.
Okay.
So a mix of styles. And that's how I would say my personal style is.
Right.
But again, like with clients, I can't do my personal style. You definitely probably see it in there a little bit, because I love Scandinavian style.
Mm-hmm.
I'm a minimalist. So if
I
you
love
want
minimalism.
Yeah, and people are going towards that.
Yeah.
But if you want tons of knick-knacky, I'm not your designer. Like, I'm just not. I think I wouldn't be able to do it. Knick-knacky type style. If you wanted tons of accessories, or that's just not me. I wouldn't be able to even walk away and be like, that was my project, you know? Because I do have to put my name on it. So I want it to represent my brand well. I want to. So
what do you wish you would have known when you first started out? I'm asking that of everybody that I interview. Just like, because I feel like I've just started a new position here in the last 6 months, 8 months, and there's a lot of things that I'm learning, and so I feel like having like kind of pulling in people's like shared experience and understanding like, okay, well, I ran into this problem. I think that's a valuable question. So what did you wish you would have known?
Let's see. That's a great question. I think definitely not to lose sleep over projects. You'll always have people that are unhappy and you can't make them happy, certain people. So I would say, like, to do your best and let that be good enough. Because, like I said, you're always going to have people that are unhappy no matter what you do. Thankfully, I haven't had very many clients with that type personality. The other thing I would say is, which is something that I was very strong on at the beginning, but some advice I would give to other people would be stay very, very strong and high in your customer service. Because sometimes it doesn't matter how wonderful you did, how amazing the project turned out. If you don't follow up with great customer service, they will have a bad taste in their mouth. So that is very important to be.
Yeah, see, I feel like I agree with you totally on that. Like, people need to know you care, and want to do a good job. Yeah. Okay, back to something earlier. This question came to me, like, what is the role of a trend? Okay, so you mentioned HGTV, and I don't want to talk about HGTV, but it's like, but do you think that certain trends are just like, I guess that's the nature of a trend. Do you think that certain lifestyles are pushed and people they become part of our consciousness because they're just being pushed by media outlets like HGTV?
Yeah, for sure. I know for a fact that, I don't know how it all works, but there are politics in design. And I know that there'll be certain colors that are pushed over and over and over again.
Or the Devil Wears Prada. Like they talk about It's like, I think there's a conversation in that where it's like they decide.
Yeah, they decide.
What the color of the particular year is going to be, or even a season.
Yep.
Like, I want to say there's like I sold clothes for a while, and so it's like, I think there's something like 20 different seasons in the in fashion. Like, it's like there's post summer, pre, like fall, like it's like there's all these different things. There
are different within seasons. Obviously, it changes, but there are colors of the year that come out every year. For 2020, it's a blue, and I believe it's called Classic Blue, and I'm so excited.
It's brand new, but it's classic.
Well, I know it's called like this specific, maybe like with Sherwin-Williams. It's called Classic Blue on that color line. But I'm actually excited because blue is actually a classic color. Okay. And very easy to work with. So, but I heard someone, I don't know who, decides what they're going to push, and then like Target and all these stores follow that trend.
Yeah, you'll see it. It's like Farmhouse.
Yeah.
Like
that
farmhouse
became a
was
trend.
like a huge trend, and now it's like mid-century.
Yeah.
Like we were talking earlier about that credenza.
Oh, yes.
Yeah, and like the what is it?
And it came back in style.
Brasilia was the
Brasilia.
Broyhill line.
Uh-huh.
Yeah, like those Eames chairs, the Aeron chair, where it's just like that bent plywood.
Yeah, it's beautiful.
Mid-century stuff. Like I feel like when I was growing up, it was like, it's that Danish. It's that Danish like style where it has like the ice cream cone feet, and you're just like, that's so weird.
Yeah.
And now it's come full circle.
Full circle.
Yeah.
Which I actually do love that style.
Yeah. It's awesome. Like once you realize the thought that went into it, it's like you're like, oh wow, man, that's amazing.
It is. I think it is too. And but I think that you don't want to go on a trend. Like I help my clients, they'll be like, oh, I love this. And I'm like, don't do all of that because it will change.
Yeah.
You can do touches of the trend.
Right.
But don't go like full
shiplap.
Yeah, full
everywhere.
Or farmhouse.
right.
Even, all modern or all modern tends to look really cold.
Yeah.
So I try to help them like mix in a little bit, like mix in a little traditional with the modern. So it doesn't look cold and trendy.
Like softens it.
Softens it. So there are ways, and then I try to not have them get their big purchase items in something very trendy. Like,
I see.
Don't buy a pink sofa, even though that blush color is very in style.
Yeah.
Because it's going to go out of style. Instead, I steer them towards get the blush color in throw pillows, not in the sofa.
Nice.
Good idea. You can change that.
Yeah, right. You can throw that. That's what they're for.
Yeah.
They're there to be that color that changes like seasonally.
Yeah.
Yeah. I like, I have, actually family that builds, and one of the projects that was recently worked on was, they did a high concept modern home kind of up on Paris Mountain.
Oh, okay.
And, they were like, what I realized in talking with that is like, building a modern home, like truly like modern, where there's no molding, it's way harder than to build a traditional style home because every single angle has to be like perfect because you'll see it. If there's like a waiver, like most of the time you put up a piece of molding and that's actually hiding that seam where the wall and the ceiling meet.
Yes.
And you can tell when you go into a house and it's like, it doesn't have like crown molding. You'll see like every little like bubble and ridge in the ceiling because of that.
True.
But man, it's like, so when you go into a modern home, just understand like how much work goes into making those right angles.
Yes.
What accomplishment are you most proud of? Okay, you've been in business for 6 years.
Yeah, I'm pretty proud of that.
Yeah, that's awesome. But is there a particular project that you like walked away and said, I nailed it?
Yeah, actually, it was one last year. Actually, I think it went into the following year as well, or the previous year. It was actually a guy client, but he was actually super easy to work with. And so it's not always the case that guys.
Okay. It's the stereotypes.
It's a stereotype. And he had this, I believe it was a early 50s home. And it had not been renovated ever, I don't believe. They had added an addition. It's a funny way to say it. But it had never been actually renovated.
Right.
So I actually got to go in and just like go ham on it. So I got to, from the ground up, literally, like flooring, paint colors, hard surfaces, but also furniture.
Oh, and man, you got the whole thing.
whole house, basically.
That's
almost
cool.
The entire house. And the neat thing is, this guy is an artist. So he was so fun to work with because he had such eclectic, it was like I finally got to do, it wasn't my style necessarily, because it was very masculine.
Yeah.
But it was more my style than probably any other project. And I got to get him modern stuff, and he had the most beautiful paintings already. So it turned out amazing. And I cannot take all the credit because he ultimately, like I said, my clients pick what they're getting. I just give them options, good options. So I would say that's the one I'm the most proud of. Cool. And I did it pretty fast too.
Yeah. Well, probably because he was able to be involved and he was present. Yeah.
Very decisive. Yeah. And
was there anything in part of that project where you were taking a risk and he was yes. kind of gave you the ability to do that?
Yes. Actually, I'm like I said, I'm careful not to push too hard. But I did, an example would be the dining room. It had this cheapy, I don't know if you remember, this weird, they have this weird tile looking stuff, but it's not tile, but it's almost like an old school, maybe, what would you call it?
Is it on the wall?
Coating in a way.
Oh, it's on, on yeah. Yeah,
it
where
looks
it's
tile, but it's not tile.
Oh,
it's almost like little squares, but they're indented.
Yeah, it's particle board.
Yeah.
That is meant to look like tile. Yes. And it's like that paneling.
Yeah.
Like that particle, not the real paneling, but particle board.
But it looked like squares.
Yeah. Yeah, okay.
I'm pretty sure that's what, yeah.
I'm sure it'll come back around in 15 years.
Yeah. Well, he was hoping there was shiplap underneath. Or some sort of cool.
Now, how old was the house?
Early 50s, I believe.
Okay, so right.
House.
Okay,
I'm pretty sure it was early 50s, if not mid, I think. But he, wanted it taken off, which I highly recommended. And behind it was these boards, but they did not look good. They were too rustic. So he kind of liked him.
Oh, okay.
So I pushed him to actually get shiplap, but halfway up shiplap.
Yeah.
So, and I pushed, and I had to push a little extra on that, but it turned out so beautiful, and he loves it.
So it was the rough-hewn boards above.
Boards. And it was just where the tile only went halfway up. It wasn't real tile, the particle board.
Yeah. It's like the wainscoting for that room. Okay.
Yeah, and so he was just wanting to leave the wood.
Okay.
And I was like, no, we need to cover that.
Yeah.
we need to cover it up.
Yeah.
So I ended up having shiplap put up. But I made it look really modern, not farmhouse.
Yeah, right.
It was painted a gray color.
Nice.
It looks really nice. So
very cool.
That was one that I had to push him. There were a few things that I pushed a little bit, but
good. Yeah, but having the artist's mind, it's kind of like they can see the.
Yeah.
You almost have to be able to see you can see the finished product when you have the blank canvas.
Yeah. That's true. But do you know what was so great about him is that he trusted me.
That's awesome. Yeah.
And because of that, when people trust me, I do my best work.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
When they try to box me in and they don't trust me, I don't think I do as well. And they aren't as happy.
Yeah. Well, you don't feel like you can, you're just I'm just going to mimic whatever you say.
Yeah. And that's not why they hired me.
Right. Exactly.
They hired me for another point of view.
Right. It's I'm going to have to argue with you on every single point.
Yeah. And at some point you don't want to argue with them.
Right. It's I don't, if you're going to argue with me, then why did you hire me?
Yeah. That's exactly how I felt. Thankfully, if someone hires me, usually they are trusting.
Right.
Sometimes I have to work at that trust, which is fair.
Sure. No, yeah.
I have to prove myself a little bit.
Right.
But as the project goes on, they trust me more and more, and it just gets easier. So,
very good.
Yeah.
Yeah. Let's see. Any particular skills that you feel like you're good at? You can definitely talk. We're having a good conversation. No. It's not. That's not. I don't mean that bad. It sounds really bad. It's man, I can't get a word in edgewise. No. It's no. But you just have this casual way of talking. I feel like that's helpful.
Thank you.
Yeah.
Yeah. I do think that this is not what I was going to say, but I think that people do often, at least in Greenville, people will hire you for your personality sometimes because they want to trust you.
Right.
So I'm thankful that people do trust me pretty quickly. And I have been hired multiple times with people never seen my work, but they just trust me. But a skill, I would say I am not a contractor, but I'm pretty good at running subcontractors, acting as a contractor. Obviously, I can't legally act as a contractor, so I always, if I need a contractor, I have a contractor. But I love, like I said, renovations, remodels.
Mm-hmm.
I love like running a crew.
Do you think that's because you grew up around it,
Yes.
like your dad? And,
Mm-hmm.
yeah.
And my personality, I think. I love working with people. I love people. And I think that I have a way that I can get things done without being rude and unkind too. Because if you treat people well, they most of the time will treat you well back.
Right.
I have heard so many stories from subcontractors of contractors treating them badly, and I'm not trying to throw contractors under the bus, but I'm like, no wonder they don't want to work for them. If you treat someone badly, they don't want to work for you.
Yeah, I would think that a lot of it has to do with just being present at the job site.
Yeah, that too.
Like if you go in and you observe like stuff being done, you know, and if something's not done right, I'm sure the subcontractor would like to know right when they first finished it, not like weeks after when the next phase has started and then they have to go in and try and work around somebody else's work.
Yeah.
You know, it's like you got to be present and checking stuff. You know, like what's that added? Like inspect what you expect what you inspect. Yeah, it's like I mean, you really got to be. Yeah. It's like you got to know, like you got to be there. Yes. And I feel like in your profession, I mean, it's like you're constantly at the house.
Yeah, well, it's tricky because when I act in that role, I get paid by the hour, but I'm not going to charge them for every phone call I make to a subcontractor. Yeah. So, I'm not always there, but I'm there enough. And here's the thing. I think, and again, this is a stereotype. I feel like I'm throwing a lot of stereotypes, but I do think women would make excellent contractors because we're so detailed. Most women are very detail oriented. Not that men aren't, but I do think that because I'm a designer, I'm also very detailed. So I think that's so like you said, the mistakes, I catch them. Mm-hmm. Yeah. And I do expect excellence.
Well, you're paying, that's what you're paying for.
So, but again, it's that customer service, but also treating people well. Mm-hmm. So I'm not going to be like, you made this mistake, and you know. Right. But it's just like being kind and saying like, hey, would you mind fixing this? I noticed this. You know, just having a way to say it where you just treat them well.
I mean, ultimately, they don't want you to. Number one, they want you to refer them.
Yeah.
So they can get more work, and then number two, it's like they don't want to. They don't want to have a job up in public that's subpar.
Yeah, exactly.
Like they want to have that stuff pointed out. And I know that some people are kind of like, you know, it's a volume business, so they want to try and like get as many jobs as possible. But ultimately, that business is going to taper off if you don't provide a quality product.
Right.
So, you know, I feel like even if it might be tense, you need to like draw people out when subcontractors and point stuff out, even as clients. I mean, you know, if you're getting something done on your house, you need to make sure you point that out.
Yes.
Early.
Definitely.
So they can make so they're not all like washing up and then you're like, hey, can you like, you know.
I know. They've already like moved on.
Right. Exactly. So, okay. Why do you think most people like quit at a job?
At a job in general?
Yeah, like at a job in general. Like, I mean, it's like, what would cause a person to fail at a job? Or what do you think the cause of like people quitting or moving on to other professions? What do you think that is? I ask that of everybody. Because I think it'd be beneficial, for people to kind of observe that in themselves. And if you can identify it, then maybe you can avoid it. And so that's why I asked.
Yeah, that's actually a great question. And that is something I am very passionate about. Because I have been so blessed to be able to do what I love, I think it's people not loving what they do. And I think what's neat about our generation, the millennials/zennials,
right? Yeah.
I'm not technically a millennial. I am maybe, but I more relate with a zennial. Yeah.
What's a zennial? Wait.
It's like the little bit older millennials. So we didn't grow up with internet. We did at a certain age. Like we didn't get a computer till I was like 15.
Okay.
And so it's like the zennials are like maybe people born from, let's see, I don't even know what millennials are, what range it is. Is it
Are they born after the turn of the century?
I should know this. I think
should you know this? Like,
I feel like I should. I don't know. I think I am a millennial.
I'm a millennial at heart.
I'm a millennial, but I think I'm a zennial, really. And that's just a term they came up with. We're still millennials, but we are older millennials.
Huh.
So we just didn't grow up the same. Like,
so you're Gen Z, but you're...
No, you're actually
you identify.
millennial. But they call us zennials because we're the tail end.
Okay.
Okay. Or the beginning. I don't know which.
Well, the end of the alphabet.
But anyway, I think that's something neat about that, whatever generation we
are.
Okay.
Let's talk more about anthropology.
Yes. Where we actually are going after our dreams.
Mm-hmm.
And we're doing what we love, and we're not settling for the 9 to 5 if we hate it. You know, I think our generation is very entrepreneurial. And it's neat to see. And so something I do, because I did try different careers in my 20s, and then at the age of I think 28, I started my company. Now everyone knows my age.
If they didn't know by Zennial,
I know.
They know now.
But so once I finally realized what I wanted to do and what I love doing, it has just made a world of difference. I do not dread Monday morning. Oh,
that's awesome. That's such a good
my job.
feeling.
I love it. Like, I would be miserable if I couldn't do my job.
Mm-hmm.
So my career has been a wonderful part of my life. So yeah, all of that to say, like, I don't even remember the original question.
No, it's like, why do people quit, or why do people
because
fail?
They don't love what they do.
Yeah, that's an awesome answer. Yeah. Oh man. Okay, so I have, just to kind of wrap it up here, I usually ask people like what the namesake of my podcast is. So, Kristin Hanson, what's the big deal about Greenville?
Greenville.
Yeah, Greenville, South Carolina. Everybody, I know there's a Greenville in every state. Greenville, South Carolina.
Everyone's starting to hear about Greenville.
It's awesome.
Don't tell people.
Yeah. It's like we want you to come, but with be knee deep in people.
Yeah. The Greenville. I think the big thing is that, like we just talked about, you can do what you love here. It's such a great place to start businesses. We're very entrepreneurial because we're kind of just starting to like really explode. I mean, it has been over the last 10 years?
Yeah. Well, I mean, I think the original plan was something like 30 years ago. But we're just now starting to see like the fruits of that.
Yes.
Or like, I mean, we've been seeing the fruits for it for like the last 10.
Yes, I would say the last 10 you really start seeing.
Right, it just like exploded.
Yeah, and then the last, I would say, 2 years, it is like whole other level.
Yeah.
So, but people are finding out how great it is. There's so much opportunity. Mm-hmm. And the people here are friendly and nice, and people will hire, a girl like me that had only the experience of, my family, and they will hire you.
Yeah.
They take chances, they take risks on people, and I love that. And so, Greenville's just, if you want to do something you love, I think Greenville's a great place. I've heard, I do not have a family, but I've heard it's a great place to raise a family. It is safe from what I've heard and what I've known. In my neighborhood, I think there's this couple that's lived there for 25 years, and they said there's only been like one break-in 25 years.
Hey. It's like doing well.
Yeah.
Doing well.
So anyway, I think, Greenville is beautiful. So many opportunities, even for like if you're into outdoor activities with the Swamp Rabbit Trail.
Yeah.
Doing all these plugs.
Yeah, right. Yeah, we're at the Commons. We're along the Swamp Rabbit Trail. Yeah,
hire Birdhouse interior design.
Yeah, exactly. That's why you came. It's like, and hire Bill Cameron for real estate. But thanks so much for coming in. This was amazing.
Thank you.
This was really, really good conversation.
Thank you for having me.
Hey everybody, this is Bill Kammer, and over the last few months I've had a lot of fun producing this show. I'm an educator and realtor here in Greenville, and you've probably guessed that I love my town and I want others to know what's great about it. If you'd like to call Greenville home, please contact me. My email address is in the show notes. If you like what you hear, please subscribe and leave us a review. Follow us on Facebook, Instagram, and Twitter. Artwork is by Corey Godby. Music is licensed by Storyblocks Audio. If you'd like to be a guest on our show, please email me at thebigdealgreenville@gmail.com. Thanks for listening, y'all.